Hi guys, I am actually in the car. I am waiting for my children to get from Home Depot and Lowe's. I just got off work I've been sitting here for some time. I can go in the house and I said I could record the video in there. It's getting ready to rain out here, so I'm sitting in the driveway, not in the garage. Sitting in the driveway, pretty much just hanging out in the car waiting for them to get here. It's probably for the best too. I've been putting this video off for months, and while I can record it in the house once they get here later on, I have a little diva on my hands and she loves attention. Didn't get it from me. So their playroom is right next to my home office where my tripod and everything's set up. So I figured the car is probably quieter and I could be a little more focused because I don't have a script. So just off the top of my head, talking about credit and the importance of credit, because time and time again, I've run into, whether it be colleagues or classmates or just friends that don't necessarily know where they are credit-wise, and I think that's it's puzzling to me, especially from an HR standpoint. Every company that I've ever worked for, when I do the background, I have to look at your credit report. I'm not looking at your credit score, I'm looking at your credit report. And the reason I'm looking at your credit report, I want to see how you handle your money. And how you handle your money, does it tell me that you'll steal? No. Some companies do cross that line and say, well, we're not going to hire anybody with accounts in default or collections over $500, or, depending on the company. For me, where I am currently, what I'm pretty much looking for is, how well do you handle your business? And that's pretty much all it is. It's kind of like a degree or diploma. All that degree and diploma tells employer, it doesn't say you do your job. My degree is actually in psychology, and I'm getting my master's in clinical psychology come December. So weird dance, but it has nothing to really do with HR. Yes, I do a lot of consulting in my current work, and those people skills are very important. However, is my degree really necessary? No. But what it tells employer, as far as your degree, I'm able to complete something. I'm able to stick with something and complete it. And that's really all it is. Money, I'm able to manage my finances. This is how I handle my business. So it's very, very, very important. And again, I don't believe that if you have bad credit, you're going to steal from a company. I don't, but I have turned in, or I've actually sent pre-adverse and adverse action because of the fact that you didn't know when to stop. You just kept overextending yourself, and it got to a place where your accounts were in default, and that's never a good place. That's never a good place to be. So I find it interesting that folks in my age group, and I say late 20s, who don't know what their credit is. And for me, it's different because I come from a family where we talk about money a lot. My dad talked about money, and I'm so glad now that I have no problem talking about money. And then I got married to someone who has no problem talking about money. It's actually self-employed, and it's part of it. If you're going to be a real estate investor, you kind of have to put the money on the table and say, hey, take it or leave it. So it kind of groomed me in a sense for, having my dad and then getting married and being in that environment. So I can say that I'm lucky, and I'm glad that my son, especially my son, daughter too, but my son especially, is being exposed to it on a daily basis. I love that, love it. They don't teach you that in school. So I wanted to touch on the fact that, at least at the very minimum, you should know what's on your credit report. Annualcreditreport.com. It's a website that is free for all. You go there and get a copy of all 3 reports, so Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, once a year. I put it on my calendar for around my birthday, so when I'm going for that annual checkup, I'm also getting my annual copy of my report, which nothing surprises me on my report, just because of the fact that I have fraud alert. So anything, I get notified within minutes if anybody runs my credit for a new account. And I just have it that way because I love where I am from a credit standpoint, And also it just takes so much work, and one little thing can just destroy you, be it yours or someone else's. So it's just a headache to deal with, prevention and just being proactive in the sense that I want to catch it early, as opposed to doing the cleanup afterwards, because those phone calls and being transferred and stuff, again, like I told you about my busy life, I don't really have the time for that. And so again, know your credit score. Know that you are entitled to 3 free credit reports per year. And it's definitely a good place to start. Get yourself, you're probably not going to be able to get a credit card out the gate. What I've done for my son, I have a city credit card that I can actually, Citibank credit card that I could actually put a limit on, and I gave it to my son. So my son's an authorized user on, I know it's a little crazy, but he's an authorized user on one of my credit cards for $200. My 2 sisters, they're also authorized users on my credit cards. I keep the cards. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to give teenage girls credit cards, but when I pay my bill, which I do, I don't carry balances, it's being reported and it's building their score. So I'm doing that with them. And actually, Pia Gay, she's one of my sisters. She actually she has her own student card now, several $1,000s on her own. She got her own card from Capital One. So it's not a secured card, it's a student credit card, but it's a great place to start. And just having, again, the reason I do it with my son, and I give him a credit card with a limit of $200, is because the world we live in, the piggy bank is not a great concept for children, because of the fact that, yes, it is a piggy bank, but however, we are dealing with money, kind of like game points on a game board, or not game board, one of these arcade games. And that's kind of how you have to think about it. They're points. So that's how I kind of break it down for him to understand at his level. But I have to teach him the piggy bank concept will not work in today's world. It's on a card. You still have to know, hey, I have to pay for this card every single month. And there's been several studies done that with cash, we tend to spend less. When we go in a store, walk in a store with cash, we spend less. When we go in a store with plastic, we don't necessarily think of it as money. So we just swipe away, put it on a card. So I want him to get that upper hand. And again, they don't teach this in school, so it is my job to prepare him for the real world. That is my job as his mother, is not to put all these rules on him and restrict them. It's definitely different. My dad jokes about it. We're like this, we talk all the time, and I say it's so funny, but I don't want to put all these rules and restrictions on him like most parents. I feel like it's my job to restrict him. It's not my job to restrict him. It's my job to make sure that when he moves out at 18, which I don't believe in that, but when he is ready for adulthood, he is fully prepared. And if he is, and he can take, just hit the road running, I've done my job. So that is my job. I have hard conversations. In fact, every Sunday we have family meeting. Be it just the 3 of us, we sit down and we discuss everything, because I want him to be exposed to it. And that's why he goes to business meetings with his dad, and even though he's not participating, just being on the floor pushing your truck while men are talking, or business folks are talking about business and how to do, you pick it up. I never forget, my mom, she was one that I kind of had an attitude growing up. So with my attitude, my mom always wanted to pray for me, and she always wanted to read the Bible and do all the stuff that I wasn't necessarily doing. So she would come in my room and she would do it while I'm sleeping. So even though you're not consciously there, that's what I kind of related to, even though you're not he's not consciously there taking notes, just being around it every day, you pick up so much stuff that you wouldn't even know subconsciously. So I'm glad at the fact that he's exposed to it. But on that note, I am going to make this video short. I actually hear them creating a ruler. some ruffle or some ruckus, some noises back there. So I want to cut the video short, but let me know your credit report. If you have any questions for me in regards to how can you build your credit, and I'll just say it. If you want to build your credit and you don't have a family, you're not blessed to have a sister like me, that you are a family member to put you on their credit, on their credit card or, on their accounts, then a secured card, put the deposit up, put down, $500 if you have it, $200, whatever, nobody's judging, nobody cares. Put $200 on the card, use it as if it's a credit card, pay it off every month. I'm telling you, one of the worst things you can do in life is pay interest. I'm opposed to it. I am tight with the money, tight with the penny. I want to keep everything, and rightfully so. We work so hard for it. It's taxed at about 15%. I'm glad in Florida we don't actually have state taxes, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining. But still, it's just, we are, for those folks who are not self-employed or entrepreneurs or have corporations, we are taxed as earners, workers, professionals. We are taxed at a higher level, and a lot of you guys don't know that. It's a whole nother video, which once you know that, it's kind of hard to go back to just, well, I'm going to do this job for 30 years. Anyways, another video. So I'm going to cut it short. I'm trying to think of anything that I could add. Get a secured card, but any questions you have, if don't do a lot of inquiries, don't try to apply for all the credit cards. I'm not anti-credit card at all, and I always say I have over 30 credit cards, and it works for me. People will say, well, no, if you have 30 credit cards, you're going to have a bad score. No, my score's in the 800s. Can't get to 850 again. I don't know of, I think, one person, and it didn't stay there. It actually fluctuates and stay in the 800s, but it doesn't stay up and down, and you really don't ever know why. So needless to say, I think that's pretty much it. Know your credit score. Put it on your calendar to get your credit report, all 3 of your credit report every year. Put it on an auto reminder. Even if you might change phones, but whatever. If you have I have the iPhone. When I get a new iPhone, the calendar is always there. Just make it a practice, and make it a practice to look at your score at least once a month. Get alerts for, if you're getting to the place where you're rebuilding. I've always said, even with my children, I have an idea of, I can't make them do anything, but I am steering them in a direction. And if you don't know where you are, how could you really know where you're going? One thing I know, like, you go into the car and you turn on your navigation, I use my phone, it has to find out exactly where I am before it starts giving me directions. I can't tell you to build your credit unless you know where you are. So that's the first step. Find out exactly where you are. Once you find out where you are, then you can definitely, create a plan. It's not going to be overnight. It definitely takes work. All negative items stay on your credit report for 7 years. I've heard 10, but 7 years. 7. If your account goes into default, 7 years. It takes time. It takes time, but honestly, if you start today, 7 years from now, you're going to be glad that you started today. So one step at a time. And it's, again, a lot of us, they got us while we were in school, still pretty much 18. I am not the same person I was at 18, and if I would have gotten all this credit, I would have blown it too. So I get it, but it is fixable, and you do get a second chance. And you want to be a homeowner, you want to buy a car, an apartment. I mean, just about everything. I definitely want to, if any questions that you have, email them to me, send them via Facebook, Twitter, anything. I am starting my life coaching business, so I'm going to be making videos more often. So again, that's why I kind of did the setup. Sorry for the fact that it's just I'm in my office, but I'm not really pointing the camera at anything except me. It's a short video, but peace. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your credit, find out where you are, and let me know.